For three guys in and around the bubble, it was make it or break it night in Richmond. Who rose to the occasion and whose bubble burst? We'll recap all the drama for you coming up next.
Richmond's always crazy. You know, it's awesome.
Something between the stadium lights and the night, it just creates this vibe, this energy that you can't really explain, but you know is there.
I like everything about it. I like the layout, I like the shape, I like the way it races.
It's a very tricky racetrack. You know, there's no perfect setup. You got to compensate. You got to find that happy medium.
The atmosphere at Richmond in the fall is pretty complicated because of the whole chase scenario. You're kind of worried about who you're racing with. Is this a guy that's in? Is this a guy that's out? Is this a guy looking to be in?
Everybody wants to be in the chase. That's the time that you have to make it. You have to do it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to NASCAR Now. I'm Mike Massaro alongside Ricky Craven. If you were ever wondering why the chase was invented, well, tonight should have answered that question. You and I, man, we were looking at that finish every bit as closely as we've looked at any race all season long, including the Daytona 500.
I'll tell you what, Mike, you mentioned that, and I felt the same way. It's very entertaining, exciting, a lot of drama, and the fact is that Brian Vickers at the end of the day really lit him up, got it done.
There was a lot of drama. Let's take a look. Let's get right to the highlights now of the race at Richmond. Coming in, Matt Kenseth, he was the guy on the bubble, 12th in the standings. Controlled his own destiny to an extent, but the night did not go the way he had planned. Early on, though, well, it looked like Vickers' problems would be evident here as his teammate got on the wall. That's Scott Speed, so no longer did he have a teammate in this fray. More problems here, too, also for the guy who's led the championship standings.
Tony Stewart admitted he got in that corner a little bit deep. Back of the car came around. Gosh. Kurt Busch was scrambling most of the night trying to find a comfortable place on the racetrack.
Yep, and that, of course, we take a look at lap 50, the guy that was on the bubble, Kyle Busch, he had moved his way up. Now, of course, Matt Kenseth still trying to make something happen, trying to race his way toward the front. He started mid-pack, but here was the battle of the bubble most of the night. These guys swapped positions in and out the standings. Of course, that was Kyle Busch and Brian Vickers. More problems for Matt Kenseth on pit road.
Yeah, he overshot a little bit. It just was that kind of night, and we didn't expect it, Mike.
Was critical of Drew Blickensderfer's choice of pit road selection. Kyle Busch, again, and now this is a shot of David Reagan.
Might as well finish what you started.
Yeah, and more problems on pit road. Martin Truex Jr. Didn't have the night he was looking for either, but Brian Vickers, he was the show, storming his way to the front. Lap 235, well, Denny Hamlin, of course, looking for the Cinderella finish. He clinched the spot a week ago, looking for a hometown win. Yeah,
this meant so much to him, and you could see that he had a dominant car all night. Finished the job.
And at this point, Brian Vickers, the man inside 12th in the standings. Still a lot of racing to go. Lap 267. Jimmy Johnson won this race the last couple of years, but didn't have the car tonight.
And I kept waiting for him to make that final push at the end. It just never came.
The car never really came to him, and the focus continued to be on the Bubble Boys. As we mentioned, Martin Truex Jr., great qualifying effort, not a great finish. Damage there.
We're so screwed. Hey, Drew, you need to make a note, you and Chip both, which we should have known better to start with, but that most of the reason isn't because of how Michael's stopping, it's because of that stupid pit stall you got there.
As we mentioned, Matt Kenseth not happy with Drew Blickensderfer's choice of pit stalls on the night. Again, the focus on Brian Vickers and Kyle Busch as this race wound down. Man, every position looked critical. Now, problems for Michael Waltrip. This will bring out the caution late in the race and set up the drama again between the Bubble Boys. Brian Vickers flashing to the low side, slipping below Kyle Busch. And at this point in time, well, I thought for sure that Kyle Busch was done. Brian Vickers was in, but that drama would continue to thicken as the night went on. Brad Keselowski would bring out the caution, and that would set up some drama on pit road. And this is where Brian Vickers' team really got the job done, Ricky.
Yeah, they did. They did all night, actually, Mike, until the very end. And, you know, they called on Brian, I think, all night to run a smart race, but also keep his sights on Kyle Busch. And he just did everything right all night. Had to battle back a couple times, and he was good for it.
More problems on pit road. Tony Stewart had to check up as a tire got away. That would slow things down. They would deliberate on pit road, trying to figure things out, trying to make sure that those tires don't get away anymore. 4 laps to go. Everyone glued to the television set. One position here, one position there. That would change the dynamic of the chase going in. Could Kyle Busch pick up a spot? Would Denny Hamlin win the race? Would Brian Vickers lose a spot? Well, as the race wound down, there was the Cinderella finish. Denny Hamlin went to victory lane. Brian Vickers captured the last chase position. Kyle Busch, gracious in defeat, did not qualify for the chase, but the man of the hour, of course, Denny Hamlin, grew up in Chesterfield, Virginia, finally captures a hometown win. It was an emotional one. He was very satisfied afterwards. Here's a look at the finishing order. Denny Hamlin, as we mentioned, the winner. Kurt Busch, very strong run. We mentioned earlier in the week that his crew chief, Pat Tryson, will be leaving. Well, it didn't affect him on Saturday night. Strong effort finishing second there. Jeff Gordon, for a long time, Ricky, looked like he had one of the cars to beat, but had some problems on a restart with Clint Bowyer. He's got to be pretty happy with the third-place finish. Mark Martin, well, he doesn't have to worry any longer either. He'll be, we'll talk about him a little bit later in the night, but certainly a guy with serious championship hopes going into this race. Now, joining us live from Victory Lane in Richmond, we've got the winner of the race, and of course, that is Denny Hamlin. Hey, Denny, congratulations first off. What's it like to finally win in Richmond?
I tell you, people have been asking me all week, what would it feel like to win at your home track? And until this moment, I had no idea. But it's definitely my biggest win ever. The Pocono win kind of took number one, and now this one places over that one. It's just it's a huge momentum boost for our race team going into the chase, and we had great momentum going into this race anyway, and we knew bringing a really good car here, we were going to be tough to beat as long as nothing happened. And now our championship hopes are looking a little brighter.
As long as nothing happened. You've been there before. You've led a lot of laps at Richmond only to have something happen. Was that in the back of your mind as you came to the checkers tonight?
Always, always. I was looking for every piece of debris on the racetrack that I could possibly find. Any kind of rubber, I was trying to avoid it. But we just had a great car. It seemed like it took off well, and it was good on the long run. We weren't so great right in the middle part of the run. Guys would start to catch us, but then we'd turn the wick up a little bit and pull away from those guys. And it's just Mike Ford did a great job adjusting on this car, and can't say enough. These FedEx employees have got a car in the chase the last 4 consecutive seasons, and now we got a couple wins this season.
Take me through those closing laps. It looked like Kurt Busch pushed you pretty hard.
Yeah, it did, and it kind of altered the way I was driving. My lap times were way off that last run compared to where I'd been on previous green flag runs, and it mainly was because he was taking away that inside line. I wasn't able to arc out of the corner and run easy in and hard off, because if I ran easy in, he was going to stick his nose in there, so I had to overcharge the corner, and it actually was slowing me up. So I think that's a lot what was happening with me and Jeff Gordon at the beginning of the race. When one guy was right on you, you couldn't arc way out. You couldn't use all the racetrack, so that's why you saw the back and forth racing.
Of course, now the focus changes. You look to the championship, you look to the chase. How would you evaluate the 11 team right now as championship contenders?
If you don't consider us the favorite, we got to be one of the top 2 or 3 up there. I can tell you, the way we've performed over the last 10 weeks is championship caliber, and this win right here proves it.
New Hampshire, your thoughts on that racetrack heading there this week?
Well, I'll tell you, we've had a team of engineers assigned to that racetrack for an entire year, focused on that race alone. So I'm looking forward to it. We know that our Achilles heel over the last few chases has been the first 2 races, so we were really concentrated on Dover and Loudon, New Hampshire. So if we get past those 2 with good finishes, look out for us on the big tracks.
Obviously, a bittersweet night for Joe Gibbs Racing. You win the race, but your teammate Kyle Busch not in the chase. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, it's bittersweet. It's 75 wins for Joe Gibbs Racing, but a part of us feel like we lost because Kyle wasn't able to get in. It's just that it wasn't because of his performance. It was because the 83 just ran strong like they have over the last few weeks. So he did, I feel like, his job. It's just he needed some help and didn't get all the help he needed. All
right, well, you don't have a teammate in the chase, but as you mentioned, you've got strong race cars, great engineers, and obviously a little bit of momentum on your side. Thanks for being with us, and congratulations.
All right, thank you.
And let's take a look at Denny Hamlin's stats the last 4 races at Richmond. Well, he's led a lot of laps, Ricky, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's been dominant at times and had a few taken away from him, and he had to feel like the track owed him one, which isn't always the best attitude to take into a track, but he used that to his advantage, I think, Mike. He went in there and he did what he does best, which is get to the front, and he talked about arcing into the corner. That's an advantage a leader has if he can gap himself 2 or 3 car lengths. And when he gets that 2 or 3 car lengths at a flat track, I'm telling you, Denny Hamlin can drive away. He's one of the few that can drive away on these type of disciplined racetracks.
And he did that tonight for sure, and finally got that first Richmond victory. Closed it out. Now here's the subplot on the night. We talked all about the battle between Brian Vickers and Kyle Busch. Brian Vickers getting the better of Busch, and it was a head-to-head battle most of the night. He spoke with Shannon Spake afterwards.
Down here with the 83 car, not the best record coming into this racetrack. You did not get off pit road first. Was it the car or pure driver determination that got you into this chase tonight, Brian?
No, it was team determination. This is just one race, one of many, and the guys did a good job. You know, that last stop wasn't our best, but we had a couple really good pit stops prior to that. And, you know, really proud of everybody, the guys. I tell you what, we picked a good night to figure this place out. You know, Ryan, all the guys, the engineering staff, everybody at Red Bull did a tremendous job with this car, the best car I've ever had. I really wish that last caution hadn't come out. We were starting to run down the 2, maybe it had an opportunity to top 3, but so proud of everybody at Red Bull until we had. I mean, this is not just one race. This has been a culmination of 26 races. Nobody giving up. 2.5 years into a program. I never would imagine us being this far along. 6 poles, a win, and now we're in the chase. And I don't know what to say. I'm so proud of everybody.
I know how hard you guys have worked this season, and you're back to work on Monday, but how are you going to spend your Sunday afternoon?
At the U.S. Open, actually. Hopefully watch some good tennis, and, well, I'll probably have quite a hangover when I get there, but I'm going to have a good time tonight and celebrate it Red Bull style and have a good time. But just so proud of these guys. I can't thank them enough for the hard work. Ryan, Dave, all the guys at Red Bull. We picked one heck of a night to have a great car here.
This race tonight, a lot like a tennis match, watching that ball go back and forth between Kyle Busch and Brian Vickers. And Brian Vickers does get the ace, so to speak, and he's in the chase. Speaking of the chase, this is the way it'll look now that things have been reset. And Mark Martin does get the #1 seed by virtue of his 4 wins this year. Tony Stewart has led the championship standings most of the season. Well, he doesn't have enough wins to be the #1 seed, but he's right there, only 10 markers back. So he's right there in championship contention as well. And of course, the guy going for 4 in a row, he's also 10 markers back. A big threat there. Now, as you look at these standings, Ricky, what stands out? Who's the biggest threat in your mind?
Well, the biggest threat of the 3 champions, honestly, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon. But we can't dismiss these 2 guys that won tonight. And I say 2 winners, Denny Hamlin and Brian Vickers. They've got momentum, and these guys will give $1 million or more for momentum.
And the tale will be told in the next 10 races. Still to come here on the show, Kyle Busch did not make the chase, but he's certainly a threat the remainder of the season. He already has 4 wins. Can he get some more as the season winds down? We'll talk about that. And of course, Denny Hamlin, an emotional winner, the Cinderella story in Richmond. Kyle Busch came into Saturday night's race in Richmond facing a 37-point deficit, 14th in the standings. Could he overcome it? Not quite. Gave it a strong run, a top 5 finish, but it wasn't enough. He's on the outside looking in as the chase begins. And as you look at Kyle Busch's stats, Ricky, they're pretty impressive, but just not enough.
Yeah, but he did his job, Mike. He came in here with a 6th place average at Richmond. He finished 5th. So you got to give credit to Brian Vickers because he raced his way into this chase. Kyle Busch did his job. He finished above average.
And as Kyle Busch said a week ago in Atlanta, if they didn't make the chase, it wasn't going to be because they failed to do their job in these final couple of races here in the regular season. It was more because of what they failed to do during the first 24 races of the regular season. And again, he reiterated that after the race. Now, for more on this story, let's head back out to the racetrack and let's join our NASCAR Now lead reporter, Marty Smith. Marty.
Mike, since the advent of the chase, just 2 drivers had made every single playoff run to date. That was 3-time defending champion Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. Johnson now stands alone. Kenseth struggled mightily this entire evening, a terrible car tonight, and he ultimately doesn't make the show. That made way, as you guys stated just there, for Brian Vickers, who had a tennis match, as you guys called it earlier, with Kyle Busch all night long. Kyle, after the race, surprisingly upbeat and happy, our Dave Burns caught up with him just after he parked his car.
The margin is 8 points, and you guys didn't make the chase. Your thoughts?
That's not the 8 points that we sacrificed tonight. It's a conglomerate of points that we sacrificed all year. Just unfortunate for the whole M&M's organization, Victoria Mars, who is here tonight, hoping that we can make it into chase. Unfortunately, we weren't able to. We didn't have the best of years to be consistent, and unfortunately that bit us. But we can always look towards the rest of the year to try to win some races and go out with a bang and try to build on something for next year. I've been struggling a little bit this year with these cars for some reason. Last year I took to them real quick, but thank Interstate Batteries, Norm, Joe, JD, all the guys at Joe Gibbs Racing. It wasn't tonight. That was a good, strong top 5 finish. Let's talk about the top 5 finish. I mean, that was a hard battle all night. My arms are sore, my back is sore, but it was fun to be able to race all these guys. Vickers put up a whale of a fight there at the end, and just thank M&M's, stickers, combos, Interstate Batteries again. We missed.
Third race of the year, Las Vegas. We finished last, and from there it's been downhill really. So we just haven't ran good enough. We haven't ran good enough to really be in a chase anyway. And Brian's got a lot of momentum, and I know Kyle didn't make it in, but some of them guys might, would probably have a shot. And the way we're running and operating right now, even if we made it, we wouldn't have a shot at the championship. So I'd be lying if I didn't say I was really disappointed we didn't make it, and I wish we would have had a better year. But we'll just keep working on it and see what we can do to improve. I think there's some improvements need to be made organizational-wise to make our cars run better. And I know I can do a better job driving, and I know we can do a better job on pit road and as our team too. So we're going to work on as hard as we can these last 10 weeks and hopefully at least get back into competitive form to get ready for next year.
Kyle, put us in the seat when your pit crew got you off pit road ahead of Brian.
I'll tell you what, the pit crew's earned a steak dinner a few times here these past couple of weeks. They've done a phenomenal job. They kept us in the game tonight too. We lost some spots on the racetrack, and we come down pit road. Every time we come down pit road, it's a spot or two. And when you've got a pit crew like that you can count on to gain you spots, it's the world, but unfortunate. Oh, congratulations to Denny too, by the way. He's still doing burnouts. He's packed up and wound up here about winning in his hometown. So congrats to the whole FedEx team.
You mentioned consistency. How do you resolve having 4 wins on the season and not being in the chase?
Go out and win some more. I mean, we just need to work on the consistency. We picked up at some racetracks that we needed to, and we faltered real bad at some racetracks we felt like we were really good at. So just wasn't our year. Just wasn't meant to be for some reason. The good Lord upstairs put me in this predicament for a reason, and one of these days I'll be able to figure that out and tell you what it is.
For Kenseth and Busch, there's certainly no shame in falling short to Vickers. Over the past 9 races, just one driver has scored more championship points than Vickers has. Tonight's winner, Denny Hamlin. Mike?
Marty, I know how you operate at the racetrack. I know you constantly have the scanner on. You're monitoring these teams. What was it like listening to Kyle Busch and Steve Addington throughout the course of the night?
There was some interesting banter, Mike. Kyle was frustrated for much of the race because he didn't feel like his car was able to run up front with the leaders to try to win the race. And that frustration is only compounded by the fact that he was racing Vickers all night long, the same guy that he's battling to try to make the show, to make the chase. But it was lively conversation, that's for sure. But Kyle did a great job. He definitely deserves credit for the manner in which he gave the team feedback on what was wrong with the car. He did stay composed, and they made that car better throughout the race as a result, Mike.
And he was, indeed, we should point this out, gracious in defeat. Marty, thank you.
You got it.
Now, Ricky, we have to break this down. It's not easy to simplify this, but how does Vickers make the chase tonight, despite the fact that he had a dismal average finish at Richmond coming in, and Kyle Busch not?
It's pretty easy, actually, because you can just watch this. He had a plan, and they executed the plan, and it was so much fun for me to watch, and it's fun for me to be the backseat driver here tonight. You watch these laps here. Brian Vickers had an idea of where Kyle Busch was all night, and it's as though he kept him in his sights and knew that if he did that, he's probably in the chase, particularly with the trouble that Matt Kenseth had. But he really makes a statement here with 62 laps to go, driving underneath, and it not only surprised Kyle Busch, it had to have surprised everybody up and down pit road and in the stands, because this was Brian Vickers' weakness, this track. It's Kyle Busch's strength. A tough pit stop late, and they says, Brian, we need you to bail us out one more time. And he's going to need to gain at least a spot here, Mike, because of the good start that Kyle Busch got. And he battles underneath the 77 car. And this impressed me so much because we were so vulnerable, particularly into turn 3, driving underneath a car late on hot tires. He did it, slid up in front of him, secured his spot into the chase.
You know, and you made a good point there. It looked like he was putting himself in a dicey situation, getting up underneath the 77 car. He already had a cushion. Was that an unnecessary risk, or do you feel like he needed to do that?
Well, I was watching it thinking, you know what, there's an easier way. You know, have these guys in your ear telling you exactly what you need to do, stay behind the 77. But here's what I think. I think Brian Vickers has arrived, not only in the chase, but as a real threat and a real contender. Because if you watch what he's done over the last 8 races, he's been best on average at all different types of racetracks, road courses, 2-mile tracks. In this case, 2 short tracks, Bristol and Richmond, and those are not his strength. Or they weren't. So, you know, this is really interesting. He is a contender for real, and he made a statement tonight. And again, it wasn't because Kyle Busch faltered. It's because Brian Vickers stepped up. When others couldn't, he stepped up and took this.
Without question, a clutch performance. But not the only story coming out of Richmond. There's another pretty good story in the development, and that, of course, being Juan Pablo Montoya. How much damage can he do in the chase? And certainly a lot of drama in Richmond, and the team celebrating. Well, there were a couple of them, but one of them certainly celebrating the Red Bull team, the 83 team of Brian Vickers. They are in the chase. Came into the race on the outside looking in, looking to erase a 20-point gap. And what a clutch performance by Brian Vickers, who now joins us live from the racetrack. And Brian, you know, we were watching. We were amazed at what you were able to accomplish tonight. You came into this race, well, let's face it, not a very good average finish at Richmond, but somehow we're able to run up toward the front and do what you need to do. How were you able to get it done tonight?
Wasn't how was I able, it was how we were, and you know, it was a group effort. Everybody at Red Bull and Toyota did a tremendous job the past, you know, all year for that matter, but especially the past 8, 9, 10 weeks. And you know, last week in Atlanta, changed that axle out, losing a lap, really kept our chances alive. Tonight, man, if we picked a good night to have, for me to have a good race and for us to have a good car, it's the best car we've ever had, and that's no accident. I mean, the guys have really put a lot of hours in this week. Everyone at the race shop, everyone at Red Bull, on Sims and 7 Post, and Ryan and Dave, and everybody just working so hard to try to take what we learned the first race. We had a good car, we sit on the pole, we had a great short run car, but not a long run car, and we had to take that and make it into a long run car, and obviously it worked. The guys did a really good job. We stayed up late last night reviewing the setup, any changes we wanted to make after practice, and even all the way into this morning, and they made the right changes because the car was really good, especially there at the end.
Brian, Ricky Craven, congratulations. You and the team earned every ounce of this. My curiosity is, and you mentioned that running fast in the short run, and you seem to have it all night long, but towards the end, the last 100 laps, you had a burst of speed. Now, were you holding back a little bit, which I doubt, but I want to know, were you holding back a little bit, or did you improve the car over the race and say, okay, you got it, and then just go after it?
You know, we improved the car, and you know, Ryan did, and Dave, and everybody that made that call. And half the time, I don't even know what the call is. You know, we were very cautious early in the race, not to over-adjust, not to make an adjustment that wasn't necessary. And I know I could tell Ryan he was very hesitant to make any changes, and that's probably a good thing. And you know, because we've dialed ourselves out before, and it's especially easy to do with this new car. So most of the race, we kind of just maintained. We knew we had a decent car, not a great car. We were a little tight in the center, and then about mid-race, about 100 or so to go, Ryan made some adjustments that really, the car just really came to life in the center, and it did not hurt the entry. I don't know if he made an adjustment as well to help the entry, but the entry was good, the center was good, and the exit was good, and that's when we really came to life. We started making some passes. We had some really good pit stops by the crew there to get some track position. That's when we raced all the way up to 4th. I was really not looking forward to seeing that caution come out. We were running Kurt down for an opportunity to top 3, and then that caution came out, and you know, we lost a few spots in the pits, and I'm not going to beat the guys up because we had some great stops tonight. You know, we may have lost 3 on that stop, but we gained 3 the stop before. before. So, you know, it was a wash. It was probably not the time that I wanted to lose 3, but that's okay. You know, the car was still good. You know, they still made me earn it there at the, you know, Sam Hornish really made me earn it there at the end. But, you know, it was great when it counted, especially there at the end of the race.
You know, you mentioned Sam Hornish making you earn it. That was one of many, really, I would say, nerve-wracking moments for you. What was the most, I'd say, nerve-wracking moment for you?
I would say right there at the end when Sam was racing me, and you know, to be honest with you, yeah, Sam and I have always had a great history. I've always got along great with him. I really respect his talent behind the wheel, especially in open wheel cars. You know, I was wishing he wouldn't have raced me that hard. I mean, for a 7th place position, it was 1 spot for him, and it was an opportunity to chase for us. I didn't expect him to race me that hard. For whatever his reasons were, that's okay. He's not obliged or obligated to give me the spot, and I'm not mad at him for it. But I was a little frustrated, to say the least, knowing what was on the line for us and what was on the line for him. I was a little frustrated that he was racing us that hard, but like I said, I can't be mad at him. That's racing. That's what he's supposed to do, and he did his job. But fortunately, we did ours, and we got by him. We got that chase spot.
Hey, Brian, I want to ask one more question here that I can relate to from being in that driver's seat. 2 things I think mean a lot to you, and I want you to expand on it if you can, going into the chase, what it means to you. Number 1, signing that contract a few weeks ago or a month ago had to be big. The timing was perfect. You were rewarded for doing a good job. And then the other thing, going into the chase or going into these last half-dozen races with a team and a crew chief that absolutely believes in you and would die for you. And I see that in Ryan Pemberton and this crew. What's that mean to you going into the chase?
Well, like you said, you've been there and you understand what that's like, and I'll be happy to elaborate on it. It means the world to have that confidence, that you have the confidence in them and they have the confidence in you. That's what we talk about when we talk about driver, crew chief chemistry. We talk about team chemistry. It's not just that we get along, it's that we believe in each other. You know, I believe he's the best crew chief on that box, and he believes I'm the best driver in that seat. And it means the world. Obviously signed the contract. You know, I think it was a sigh of relief for myself, but for the entire team. It showed the commitment that Red Bull, you know, was still committed to this program for the long term. And I think it really energized the entire organization. It was a step in the right direction for me, but I think for everyone at the organization, for what it stood for, that they were committed. You know, and as far as, you know, Ryan and myself and this team, you're absolutely right. I mean, we've, you know, somebody asked me, what happened? You know, what did you guys do 8 weeks ago and 10 weeks ago to really make this team come to life? And it wasn't just one thing. I think it was a culmination of the chemistry and the confidence in each other and this team just coming together. And, you know, and it's paid off. And, you know, I got to give Jay credit for that. Jay came to me this offseason. He said, listen, I want to make some changes. I know that you really like Kevin and he's good and we want to keep him. I've got a better role for Kevin Hamlin. He's going to contribute even more to the team. He's going to be happy with it. But I've got a guy that I'm telling you, you guys are just gonna mesh. You're gonna get along, and you're gonna go win championships together. You got to trust me on this. And I said, well, I trust you, Jay. You know, do whatever you think's right. He made the change, and obviously it's working out for everyone, and it's working out for this team.
And we wish you the best of luck moving forward, Brian. Thanks for being with us. Congratulations, and good luck in the next 10.
Thank you very much.
Coming up, we'll readdress the Cinderella story that was Denny Hamlin winning in Richmond. What an emotional victory it was for him. Juan Pablo Montoya was looking to make history in Richmond, looking to become the first minority driver to qualify for the chase. Came into the night 8th in the standings and has done a great job point racing over the last several weeks, and well, it would pay off. Finished 19th in Richmond and locked up a chase position. He does succeed in making that history. And for more on this story, we go out to the racetrack and bring in Nicole Mansky. And Nicole, quite an inspiring run for Juan Pablo.
Well, he came into the night with one goal, and as you mentioned, he didn't win the race, but that was not his goal. He just wanted to make the chase. As you said, he finished 19th, and he had a number in his head all night long. He said he just needed to keep his car safe, and if that meant not putting himself into a sticky situation and letting cars pass him, as long as he was in a good position to make the chase, he let it happen. And because of that, he made the chase at the end of the night. Juan Pablo Montoya spoke with our Vince Welch right after the race.
You came in here, did what you had to do tonight. How good does it feel to accomplish the goal you set of making the chase?
In a way, I want to thank first everybody, at Target and Chevrolet and EGR Motors and everybody in Earnhardt. They did an amazing job for me all year long. Everybody back in the shop built great cars, and when you get good race cars, it makes your life a lot easier. And Brian and all the boys all year long did an amazing job. Today it feels kind of weird. Yeah, we made the chase, but we run so conservative today that it's like kind of awkward. But it's good, we're in.
Will you feel good to be able to now get in the chase and kind of let it all hang out finally?
I think we have to wait and see what happens, how good we are, and based how we run, we're gonna have good weeks and bad weeks. We need to make sure when they're bad, you can't go worse than 10 or 12.
At the beginning of the season, not many gave your team a shot at making the chase. How good does it feel to be one of the final 12 that'll have a chance at the championship?
I think just proving everybody wrong felt really good, to tell you the truth, but it's great. It's great to, it was a 3-year plan to come here and start performing after 3 years, and we made the chase, and this is bigger than winning a race or anything, so it's pretty cool.
Now, Juan Pablo Montoya has never before made a chase in his Sprint Cup Series career, but being in the Sprint Cup Series, he has competed at these 10 remaining tracks, though not to the best of results. His best finish in the previous years at these 10 tracks, an 8th at Martinsville. Mike?
Now, Nicole, this wasn't only big for Juan Pablo, but also big for his entire team, including team owner Chip Ganassi. What was Chip's reaction?
Well, after the race, we saw some team owners like Rick Hendrick going up to his drivers and embracing them, giving them hugs. Tony Stewart gave Ryan Newman a hug. It was not the same between Chip Ganassi and Juan Pablo Montoya. Chip Ganassi actually slapped his driver, but then embraced him in a hug. And Chip actually pointed out that this chase berth is big for the entire Earnhardt Ganassi racing team. Keep in mind that at the beginning of the year, there were a lot of doubters, so this goes a long way to that team. But also, they both fired off a bit of a warning shot. Like we talked about before, Montoya came into the night playing it safe. He's one of the drivers that goes into the chase without a win. Both of them said the same thing. Enough of Mr. Nice Guy. The real racing starts now.
All right, now a slap in the face or a slap on the back? You've got to elaborate.
No, literally a slap on the face. I heard it. I was less than 2 feet away. I mean, it was like enough to make you turn and look.
Oh. Tough love.
It was a slap.
Tough love over there at Earnhardt Ganassi. Hey, Nicole, thank you. We would never do that to you.
You're welcome. No, thank you.
The celebration continues in Richmond. Lots of people celebrating, 12 of them. Denny Hamlin, the winner. He has certainly plenty of reason to celebrate, as do many others. We'll go back out to the track in moments. Always one of the fun moments in Richmond after this race, a class photo of sorts. 12 Chase members getting ready to pose next to the Chase Trophy, of course that being the Sprint Cup, and everyone vying for it. This is the guy who's brought it home the last 3 years. Can he do it 4 years in a row? Well, we'll have to pay attention. We'll know in about 10 weeks. Now for more on tonight's race, here's Alan Bestwick.
The final race for NASCAR drivers to get into the chase for the Sprint Cup did not disappoint Saturday night at Richmond International Raceway. A hometown hero wins the race, while a driver gets booted out of the chase and another races his way in. The guy who wound up on the outside, Matt Kenseth, he was in 12th place in points coming into the night. He had a tough night on the track, a tough night on pit road.
Oh, yeah, take a look at Matt Kenseth. Slides through the pits, got to back up. But you know what, guys? This misery for Matt continued all night long. Stuff like this.
Wound up finishing 25th. That left Kyle Busch and Brian Vickers basically to race head-to-head for a place in the championship.
Well, these two could not get away from one another all night long. Kyle Busch has a good, solid 5th place finish. He ran really strong, but Brian Vickers was just that much better tonight.
Meanwhile, the hometown hero, Denny Hamlin, he was dominating. Hamlin led 298 of the 400 laps to pick up the win. A very popular victory for the fans in these packed grandstands, and Hamlin heads into the championship with a little momentum from a hometown victory. Now, Brian Vickers gets that last place in the chase, displacing Matt Kenseth. What a night for he and this team.
Oh, what a night. I mean, this guy won Michigan. He's been getting stronger and stronger as the year went on. Tonight, He really blossomed when he had to. He had a great run tonight.
And the man who'll be the #1 seed for the chase, Mark Martin.
Mark did everything he was supposed to do this weekend. He came to the racetrack, he sat on the pole, he stayed in the top 5 all night long, solidified himself into the chase, and I picked him to win at the beginning of the year, so I am jumping back on the bandwagon.
Don't hurt yourself, patting yourself on the back there. Rusty and Brad, final thoughts on what we saw Saturday night at Richmond and as we look ahead to next Sunday at New Hampshire.
I guess I was very surprised that Matt Kenseth did make it in the chase. I really thought he was a strong enough team to get that done. Another team I'm looking at is Tony Stewart. Look, he's locked in, but man, he had a 17th place finish tonight. I really expect that team to run better than that.
Yeah, I, along with Rusty, thought Matt Kenseth was automatic just because of his past history, but they really struggled tonight. But for me, the thing that's interesting, as we look at this season as an entirety, the guy who could win the most races by the time we get to the end of the season is Kyle Busch, and he's not in the chase.
So a spectacular Saturday night in Virginia's capital city. It was a hometown hero that won the race, and a great fight for the final places in NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup. That 10-race run to the championship begins next Sunday in Loudon, New Hampshire.
Thank you, Alan. Some other notes out of tonight's race. Kurt Busch was the runner-up, his best finish since his win at Atlanta in March. Jeff Gordon finished 3rd, and while he has just 1 win this season, it's the 8th time finishing among the top 3. And Tony Stewart, the points leader after 26 races, is limping into the chase. He's finished 17th at Richmond, his 4th straight finish outside the top 10. Now for some more reaction from the racetrack, let's head to pit road, starting with Dave Burns.
Hey, you're alone at the top with 4 wins. You are the #1 seed, Mark.
How about that, man? I just got to thank Alan Gustafson and all our supporters, the fans, and our supporters, CarQuest, Kellogg's, Chevrolet, and GoDaddy, and Stanley, and all the guys that support us at Hendrick Motorsports, and great teammates, and the best team, best year of my career.
As well as you were running near the end of the race, when did you start to believe?
Checker flag. I've had a lot of things go wrong in my career. I just, you know, it was really good to be in the top 5 all night. I don't think we ever got further back than 5th. And great pit stops, and just everything was good. We had the best pit stall, a great race car, not quite good enough to win with, but we could see the leaders all night, and the guys just did what we needed to do. We needed to finish how we ran, and the last 2 weeks we've done that. And so now we go racing. Pressure's off, though. Pressure's off. It won't build back up until late, maybe 4 to go or something. Right now, pressure's off.
Seems like the momentum, though, is on at just the right time.
Well, you know, anybody that's in the chase can win this thing. All they have to do is get on a 10-race roll. I'm telling you, anybody in this chase can win. Watch out for one Montoya. I'm telling you, the guy's running good, and he's been points racing, and they may go after it now. And I know that you know, the last few weeks we've raced to win, but we've, you know, been real careful too. And now we can go do our thing.
You've made the chase, you haven't made the chase. Congratulations, you've made it this season. How much work do you guys have to do if you want to compete for this championship?
We have a little bit of work. You know, I wanted to run much better tonight. We battled the car for a bit, but you know, we got better at the end. Didn't get a top 10, but we were close, and we made the chase. We start 5th, so it's good. Atlanta went really well. We have some tracks that we should run with anybody at, and then we have some tracks that we need to work on. But overall, this team's came a long ways this year. We have great pit stops. A lot of good things going on. You know, the Dodge dealers have been behind us for a long time. Budweiser, Dodge, Stanley, Valvoline, McDonald's, Allstate. There's a lot of people that have supported us, and it's nice to get in the chase. We've missed 4 maybe, and now we got in 2, so it's about time.
Ryan Newman, you've been waiting a long time to be in the chase. It's been 3 years. What does it mean to you after everything? You took a big risk in leaving Penske and coming over to Tony Stewart Haas Racing.
Well, there's just as much opportunity as there was risk, and I got to thank Tony Stewart, Gene Haas, and everybody at Stewart Haas Racing for this opportunity. And a lot of great effort, a lot of great teamwork went into this between Tony Gibson and Darian Grubb, and obviously Rick Hendrick's help is definitely a feather in our cap. So just thank the U.S. Army, Haas Automation for all their support, all the soldiers out there that are fighting for our freedom. Give us an opportunity to do these things. This is for them, and we're going to work our tails off for this championship. It's you know, we don't have much to lose. We made it to where we wanted to be now. Now it's all about racing and getting good finishes and trying to win this championship.
Congratulations on the good finish you had tonight, and what's your prospects as you view the chase in the coming weeks?
Well, it was an excellent run for us tonight with the Miller Lite Dodge to come in and have that apprehensive feeling to know that we weren't in and we just needed to finish 20th or better. It's good and it's bad. You have a cushion, but at the same time, there's those little gremlins that can pop up. But we overcame all that. We had an excellent car, a shot to win the race at the end, and raced Denny for all it was worth. We had a great adjustment throughout the race that put us in contention, and that's big. And the crew, we'd come in 5th or 6th and go out 3rd. Excellent job by those guys tonight. And just overall, this run tonight really positions our team well for the chase, to have that feeling to know we did our jobs right, and to be poised for the 10 runs now. We got 10 weeks to go. It's good. So Miller Lite and Dodge, all the family at Penske Racing, my family back at home, grandma, mom, and dad. It's a great feeling to get into the chase. I've done it 2 out of 4 years at Penske, and overall, it's just it's a make or break for your season. Unfortunately, that's the way this chase format is set up, and you cannot even win and make the chase, and people call you and tell you did a good job. So it's really weird how it all shakes out. But we're only 30 points from the championship lead right now.
And a live look once again at pit road at Richmond. Juan Pablo Montoya looking for his first title, and Jeff Gordon, well, he's looking for number 5. He's never won one in the chase. We'll hear from him coming up. ESPN has a Monday night doubleheader coming at you Monday evening. First, it's the Bills at the Patriots, 7 p.m., and then it's the Chargers at the Raiders, 10:15 on ESPN.
6th seed for you tonight, and at the very end, another strong run toward the front there. You guys are pretty good tonight.
Yeah, we were fighting hard for those 10 bonus points because we knew once we were seeded that we were going to be behind. But what a strong effort by this DuPont National Guard Chevrolet. Really proud to have Wounded Warriors on board, and it was a great effort. Steve and the guys just brought a great race car today or tonight, and the best one I've had here in a long time. So I'm really excited. The momentum going into New Hampshire is there. The team was solid. I think we got a great shot at it. We know we got some points to make up, but I think this team's really capable and ready to do that.
And Mark mentioned the fact that anyone can get up to the front there pretty quickly. Do you look at this as pretty much an even playing field?
I do. I don't like giving up any points to anybody, especially guys as tough as Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart. You just don't want to allow anybody to have any kind of an edge. But you know what? We haven't always been the strongest seed going into the chase, but we've taken the points lead before because of our strong team and consistency. And, we know we're going to have to get out there and do battle and win some races. And, if we can do it, I hope we do it in these final 10.
What is that sense of relief you have right now, Greg?
No, it feels really good. I'm so glad to get the 3M Ford Fusion into the chase again. It's we don't have any wins, so we end up 12th in the seeding, but hopefully we can start the chase off like we did last year. A couple wins, just some good runs. I just want to get up there in the top 5 again. That'd be fun.
He finishes 15th tonight, earns a spot in the chase, but boy, you worked for that 15th
Yeah.
place. What happened at the beginning of the race? You fell all the way back to 31st and made a little bit of ground up, but not the finish maybe you'd hoped.
Yeah, it was really loose. But man, my pit crew has really stepped up their game. Our Aflac team has been working hard on pit road, and it seemed like every time we came in, Bob made good adjustments. We picked up some spots, and that's what really saved us. This track is a lot like Loudon, so we've got to work, on the cars. We've got to be a little bit better to go there and get the chase started off right. But the greatest thing for me is it's like, it's the second part of the season starting. We're only 40 points out of the lead, and that's going to be fun.
You haven't won a race yet this season. At this point, you'd won 6 last year. Can you win the championship?
Yeah, we can win the championship. That's why we're here. We won more races than anyone last year. We did really well, and we didn't win it. So, heck, we could still win 10 races and do this. So we never give up. We're just going to dig hard to the end.
Time to stop talking about who's going to make the chase and time to start talking about who's going to win it. Ricky Craven helps us break it down coming up. NASCAR Now returns Monday with the Monday Roundtable. Ricky Craven will be joined by Ray Evernham and Randy LaJoy to break down the chase. That's 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday on ESPN2. And the chase field is now set, Ricky. Break it down for us.
It's going to be exciting, Mike. I'm favoring the 3 champions, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, because they have the experience. It's invaluable. They're very, very talented, obviously. But I want to tell you something, guys. At this point, these teams, these drivers, they have a fleet of race cars that they depend on. They're favorites. Drivers have 2 or 3 cars that they're going to wear out in these next 10 races. And as it relates to that, Mark Martin and Denny Hamlin are fast. That's invaluable at this point in the season. One other thing, comfort. I look at Mark Martin and his composure. He's commanding the race right now, and same with Denny Hamlin. But in the end, Jimmy Johnson. How can you go against these guys? They've earned the right to be favorites, 3-time champs. He was my pick before the season started. He'll be my pick all the way down to the 10th and final race of the chase because he and the team have earned that.
Yeah, there's no question. Just out of pure respect, you got to go with Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he's going for 4 in a row. That's never been done before. That's a main storyline going into this chase, but he's not the only one. There's a potential hero in the making. Of course, that's Brian Vickers, just squeezed into the chase, and Mark Martin, he's the sentimental favorite. Baseball Tonight is next.